We now have found out more about how much Donald Trump's Mexican wall will cost, and it ain't pretty. Reuters is reporting that there is a Department of Homeland Security document which outlines the details of the border wall. It says that it will be a mixture of walls and fences covering 1,250 miles of the border, not actually the entire border, as Donald Trump has suggested. And it will cost not $4 billion, not $8 billion, not $12 billion, but $21.6 billion, nearly $22 billion bucks. That number actually still seems too small to some research groups like Bernstein Research. It's $1.7 million per mile, still about 2 or 3 times what Donald Trump has claimed in the past, depending on which iteration of Donald Trump's past claims you believe. It's about $8 billion higher than Paul Ryan's estimate. There's still no coherent plan as to how Mexico will ultimately pay for the wall. Will it be a border tax? It's still not clear. Abundantly clear is that if it happens, American taxpayers are paying for the wall up front. The estimate also doesn't include the billions that would have to be spent in perpetuity, indefinitely, to maintain the wall. And here's the kicker. It would take more than 3 years to build. Even if they started within the next few months, it's unlikely that it would be done before Donald Trump's first term, the only term he currently has, would be over. And we should be highly skeptical of this timeline because it would require building a mile a day. I don't think, Pat, that they can build a mile a day of this wall.
And Donald Trump promised a wall that would be 35 feet high, cover the entire length of the border. And I wonder how much of that $22 billion would be the cost of that big, beautiful door in the middle of it.
Not much. That's my prediction. Also, that $21.6 billion doesn't include the environmental costs, right? It doesn't include the negative externalities of the environmental damage that would be done to build a 1,250-mile wall. The Department of Homeland Security also says there's another issue, which is that they could be stuck in court for years because they would need to use eminent domain to seize some of the land on which the wall would be built. And as you may know, eminent domain cases are not handled quickly. There could be years and years going well beyond Donald Trump's presidency of court cases with regard to eminent domain. And of course, if any of this even happens, since it wouldn't be done at the end of Donald Trump's first term, it's very likely that Donald Trump's 2020 adversary, or just whoever wins in 2020, if Donald Trump chooses not to run for re-election, although I know that formally he has filed to run for re-election, they may shut down the entire thing on day one of the next presidency, and all of this would be a total waste with nothing to show.
I'm sure they would if a Democrat was to win. I also just wonder how much the debt and the deficit is going to increase under Trump. While $22 billion isn't too much in the grand scheme of things, I think it goes to a culture that he wants to be a big spender in office.
Oh, Trump would be one of the biggest spenders, absolutely. And it is yet another horrible, unrealistic solution to a problem that doesn't really exist. Because remember, most undocumented immigrants, a significant portion of undocumented immigrants, I should say, don't actually physically cross between Mexico and the United States. We're talking about overstaying visas. We're talking about people who fly in, et cetera, et cetera. We've talked about it before. It's just embarrassing, and the Trumpists absolutely love it. Today's David Pakman Show is made possible in part by ZipRecruiter. If you are hiring, you've probably figured out that just posting your job in one place isn't enough to find quality candidates. You should really be posting to all the top job sites, and now you can with ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter also has 9 million resumes that you can search through in their database. You can add multiple people to your account. So if you're hiring in a team setting, you and your colleagues can work together to find the best hire. And you can also post your job listing to 200 plus job sites, as well as social media networks like Facebook and Twitter with one click. You can search for candidates in any city, in any industry. Just post once and watch the qualified candidates roll in. And the best part for me is, with the ZipRecruiter system, you can quickly screen candidates, rate them, hire the right person fast without juggling emails and phone calls, all within the ZipRecruiter system. And if you do have a question or an issue, ZipRecruiter has a friendly human support team to actually help. Try ZipRecruiter for free by going to ziprecruiter.com/free trial. That's ziprecruiter.com/free trial.